Administration over campaign finance. Senate Democrats have failed to limit campaign giving, which could be a windfall for the GOP. Joining the company now is Rick Santorum, a former Republican senator from Pennsylvania. You know, Senator, we just had a guest on, and I asked him, what happens to the market if we get all these tax increases that are planned as of January the 1st? So let me forget about campaign finance for a minute. I want to talk about the status of these tax increases. You know politics. What's going to happen on January the 1st?
Well, I think what's going to happen is that we're going to have a new Republican Congress in the House of Representatives, and we're going to have a strong number of Republican gains in the Senate. And I think there'll be a concerted effort to immediately, try to get enough Democrats in the Senate to try to extend the Bush tax cuts. Excuse me, at least for most people. And you're even seeing some Democrats now coming forward, like Kent Conrad and others, who are saying we're even for extending for the higher brackets because we don't want to increase taxes on employers during a recession.
But there would have to be a vote. Okay, after November, the Republicans make the gains in the House and the Senate. Got it. There would have to be a vote. Now, if they voted to extend these tax cuts, it is quite possible, isn't it, that the president would veto it?
You know, I think the president's going to be pretty obstinate about trying to repeal anything he's already done or going along with Republicans on very much in the Congress. I think this is one area. This is one area where I think the president will, in fact, compromise. I think he won't just say, "Oh, you can only raise it for those under 200,000 or 250,000." I mean, you can give tax cuts to them. I think he will allow Republicans the ability to cut taxes across the board and swallow this one and try to be this his sort of signature bipartisan accomplishment of his second term.
Senator, what you're saying is political dynamite. It would mean, if you're right, if the president allows tax cuts to be maintained for everybody, the rich included, that would mean that the president is acting more like Bill Clinton after his reversals in 1994 and going back to the center.
I think
sticking with this?
I think there's a chance on this issue for him to do so. I don't think, because look, the president has already said he wants to keep sort of 95% or wants to cut taxes for 95% of Americans. And I think if the economy continues to struggle, and obviously his solution, which was big government programs and government employment, isn't working, he's going to be in a position where he's got to at least share the blame with someone for the economy going forward, and I think this will see this as his opportunity to do so.
I do want your comment on this campaign finance disclosure rule. Yeah. Okay, the Senate voted yesterday not to adopt this. I can see the thumbs up. Basically, that means that corporations are on the same footing as everybody else. They can give as much as they like to whomsoever they like. I got to believe that's a plus for Republicans.
Well, it's not. They can't give as much as what it allows them to do is to go out and use their own money to run ads before the election, talking about just like unions can do, just like a lot of other folks can do, and go out and run ads right up until the election, advocating the voting for the defeat of a candidate. That's really it's not. They can't give any more under the law than they could before. It's $5,000 to a PAC.
Okay.
What this had to do with independent expenditures, and it's their ability to speak. Just like as a corporate citizen, just like a regular citizen should have the opportunity to get out there and have their voices heard, and thankfully the Senate protected that right.
Senator Rick Santorum, always a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to stick with that prediction of yours that the president allows tax cuts to continue for everybody. Now that
based on the assumption, which I think I know I listen to you a lot, Stuart, and the assumption is the economy's not going to get any better. Yep. I think he's going to be desperate to do something, and that'll be it.
Okay, we got it, and we're going to have you back. I want to talk about this. This is fascinating stuff.
Okay,
Rick Santorum, always a